Shootings and shutdowns on I-95. The interstate is now back open tonight after 3 separate shutdowns earlier today. Thousands of drivers were forced to find other routes, just like some you see here making U-turns there on the interstate right in the middle of I-95. Some drivers using entrance ramps as exits at times. All of this started in Boca Raton earlier today with a deadly shooting. So from murder to traffic to then scared witnesses at times, our team coverage continues tonight at 5:30. Let's get straight to Jay Cashmere. He's live from the scene in Lantana. Jay?
Shannon, a day filled with anxiety and tension that is now just beginning to wrap up as we speak. About an hour ago, I-95 reopened for the first time after 7 hours, where investigators were right behind me combing every square inch of this interstate system for about 2 or 3 miles right now. This whole incident started not far from here at a grocery store in Lake Worth, where a shooter, opened fire on a female subject. He then put her in a car, brought her to 95. They drove southbound in the northbound lane, causing 3 head-on collisions. His vehicle was disabled after the 3rd collision, and that's when deputies and FHP swarmed him. He was fatally shot by a PBSO deputy after that deputy feared for his life. And thus the investigation began and just wrapped up here on the interstate. Thousands and thousands of motorists were redirected as traffic was rediverted all day long here. We want to start our team coverage tonight with Alex Hagan. He is live at the Lake Worth grocery store, not far from where I'm standing right now, the point of origin for this investigation. Alex.
Well, Jay, we're on the 1600 block of South Dixie Highway. Deputies say this shooting happening here outside this grocery store, the My Neighborhood grocery store in Lake Worth, before, of course, this all ended on I-95. Now, we did speak to the store clerk at that grocery store when that man and woman were inside that store. She says there was no indication that anything showed that this was going to happen.
See the police, the sheriff.
An unfortunate scene.
It's a crime scene. Look like somebody done got hurt over there.
That Guy Ambrose rarely sees.
People don't want to come out, and, you know, this is a good neighborhood, but bad things happen around here.
Around 9:30, deputies say a man shot a woman outside this grocery store with this handgun. The store clerk says both came, bought cigarettes, left, came back a half hour later, used the ATM. They left. That's when the clerk heard gunshots. Witnesses say they heard an argument beforehand. The aftermath caused a chaotic scene, deputies everywhere, heavy traffic.
Unfortunately, it's a sign of the times.
Ed Stein owns Pawn World next door. Fortunately, he was not here at the time of the shooting.
It's very scary because, as it turns out, I was in the ER this morning and didn't open up, and maybe that was fate that I wasn't here when all this happened, and I feel very lucky.
So that store clerk saying that that man and woman came into this grocery store twice this morning, did not notice any arguments or anything, again, that would lead to any indication of this shooting happening. Now we're going to send it to Chris Stewart in the newsroom.
Yeah, Alex, thank you. I want to just show you the picture that PBSO released within just about the last hour or so of the handgun they say was used in the shooting this morning, where the suspect, PBSO says, shot and killed a woman before heading down the wrong way on I-95, causing all those crashes, and then, of course, all of this ending with a deputy-involved shooting. But where this gun, they say, was used was at that grocery store where that woman was shot in Lake Worth. So certainly one piece of the puzzle here of a story that has so many pieces and so many unanswered questions still at this point. So we do want to show you where you can head. Is right on the front page of our website, WPTV.com, as well as on our free WPTV mobile app, a list of the shootings that have happened in the past 24 hours, all but one that we have listed here connected to that incident we saw on I-95 in Lantana today. And, of course, we also have this interactive map where you can come, take a look, and it will break down exactly for you how we got to this point. Back to you guys.
Chris, we can't emphasize enough the details and the meticulous details that went into this deputy-involved shooting. Anytime there's a deputy-involved shooting, a separate set of protocols really are installed with PBSO, and that's really what transpired all day long and why we're seeing such a massive investigation that's spread out over multiple scenes here. We just learned investigators from the state attorney's office are assisting PBSO right now. PBSO the lead in this investigation as we speak. The deputy who fatally shot the shooter in this incident has been put on paid administrative leave. That is standard operating procedure as well, part of this ongoing investigation. I want to talk to Sheriff Rick Bradshaw now. We caught up with him earlier today just about the massive response and the resources that went into this investigation.
Right here, you have a tremendous amount of resources. You got Florida Highway Patrol, Sheriff's Office, Fire Department, Medical Examiner, and some volunteers that we have here that direct traffic. We're trying to keep the southbound open as much as we can, even though there's some debris over there, and we're working as fast as we possibly can to get this stretch back open because we know it's an inconvenience to the public, but it is what it is. But we'll get it open as fast as we can, but it's not going to be in the foreseeable future today.
Was there a vehicle? Well, they did it at 4:30, about 6.5, 7 hours after this investigation began. I-95 reopened. It's flowing freely right now. The first signs of life on 95 behind us, northbound at least, since earlier this morning. A lot of resources, as the sheriff indicated, and a lot more questions to be answered in the days to come. The sheriff mentioned not only were they investigating the scene here, but a number of deputies were redirecting traffic. We went ahead to Stephanie Susskind right now with more on the big traffic woes that impacted drivers today.
Yeah, Jay, really, it was just a mess out there today with several different incidents and shutdowns. Of course, the main one we've been talking about that we've been focused on, that Lantana Road to 6th Avenue South, which is clear. And you know what? This is actually a pretty good sign for 5:30 in the evening. Usually we're getting congested, but 95 looking good right now as that traffic opened up. We can take a live look through the eyes of Chopper 5 just to show you a little bit more of that traffic that is moving. It's flowing. It is looking good. Certainly a welcome sight after the day that we have had throughout the day today. Want to show you real quickly back on our maps that we do have a couple of just little trouble spots still. US 1, the Dixie Highway area, just a little bit farther south than what we were looking at earlier. Speed's still a little bit slow. Our side roads pretty much are where they usually are for this time of the afternoon. The turnpike a little bit slow heading northbound, speeds down to about 22 miles per hour as you head through Boynton Beach and north beyond that. Do want to let you know also about a crash on 95 southbound. This is near Belvedere Road. Now, our Alana Quillen, she spoke to some of those drivers who were just stuck for hours today. She continues our team coverage. Alana.
Well, Stephanie, I drove through Lake Worth, a popular spot for drivers to try and get back on the interstate because of those massive delays throughout the day. And it wasn't an easy process. Many of those drivers finally reaching their destination hours after they hit the road. From Chopper 5, you can see drivers stuck on I-95 from Boynton Beach to Lake Worth. Hundreds, if not thousands, of drivers had to take an alternate route.
Google Maps is getting you off, taking you to back roads.
I pulled over at 6th Avenue and Snowden Street, watching countless cars, even 18-wheelers, squeezing through small streets in the neighborhoods just to connect through and get on their way.
Ridiculous. A lot of cars, on the standstill, couldn't go nowhere.
These guys work for a Boca pest control company, stuck in traffic while trying to get to house calls.
About 3 hours. This is ridiculous. Heavy traffic. We late going to houses, we out here working. Now we have to take a different route to go to. We have to head down to Delray, so we have to take a different route now. So.
And these drivers were on the road 2 hours from Fort Lauderdale to Lake Worth. Thankful they made it home.
Very cordial. Everybody was respectful, so it was good.
And of course, as we've mentioned, Palm Beach County Schools even deployed buses a little earlier for afternoon pickup. So, of course, drivers should still plan ahead if you're heading out this evening. We'll toss it back to Jay, live out in the field.
Alana, your piece just emphasizes the amount of people that were affected by today's tragic situation, to say the least, right now. And coming up at 5:45, Sabira Rayford talked with more witnesses, people that were involved, people that were just bystanders that witnessed the utter chaos that unfolded today. All that coming up in just a few minutes at 5:45. For now, from the side of I-95 in Lantana Road exit here, we'll toss it back to the studio. And Shannon, back to you.
Jay Cashmere, he'll continue our continuing coverage of shootings and shutdowns that have really enveloped this day shortly. And of course, we'll continue once again at 6 o'clock. On days like this, you do look for some silver lining. It has been a tough one for sure. Steve Weagle's going to take us outside and show us our beautiful forecast. That'll brighten things up, Steve.
This is the silver lining. Beautiful evening, Shannon, and a fantastic afternoon. But showers on the way tomorrow. The best times to get outside coming up.
It has been a very long day, and you're looking live right now at I-95, reopened about a little more than an hour ago now. Chopper 5 hovering over the scene, the culmination of a series of tragedies today. Just a dramatic day. Started at 9:45 this morning at a grocery store in Lantana. A shooting suspect, drove the wrong way on I-95. He drove south in those northbound lanes that you were looking at a moment ago, caused 3 separate accidents. It ended with a deputy-involved shooting. A Palm Beach County Sheriff's deputy pulled out his gun and shot the suspect in this case. That deputy, Jay Cashmere, reporting a few moments ago, standard operating procedure here is on paid administrative leave, but there were crime scenes. Literally, I-95 was a crime scene all day long. So for 6 hours today, a stretch of I-95 was shut down. Really tens of thousands of people finding alternate routes. But once again, the big story at this point, I-95 reopened this evening. Once again, a live look from our Chopper 5 tonight. The only local helicopter covering breaking news first and fast. We hover over the scene where the culmination of today's events occurred, and our Jay Cashmere is not far from that scene. He's live this evening. Jay?
Yeah, Shannon, just to be exact, a few hundred feet, if that, from I-95 right now. We've flipped our camera position around strategically to tell you more about the witness reaction. This is a public shopping market right now behind me, a parking lot behind us, right by the Lantana Road exit right here. When all this unfolded earlier this morning, there were tons of witnesses in here who heard, and many of them who saw what was unfolding. I want to bring in Sabir, Rayford. Sabir, you caught up with some of those people and have more from them.
Yeah, for sure, Jay. Earlier when I got here, many people were crowding in, and they would take a look out here at 95 northbound to see what was going on. But some of the people were actually caught right in the middle of the chaos.
Shoppers didn't see it coming.
Well, we knew it was crazy. I mean, we just didn't realize there was going to be that much traffic.
This Publix on Lantana Road is right behind 95 North. Today's multi-vehicle crash and highway closure caused a bit of a headache.
But it took us about a half an hour to go about a mile.
2 people who don't live nearby say the closures left them with limited options.
Maybe we have to sleep in our car, or I don't know.
Jose Vargas is traveling from Miami and headed to Orlando. He was on the highway when chaos erupted.
Well, we were stuck for about an hour in the traffic in the I-95.
He's staying optimistic. They stopped at Publix to grab water and food while trying to plan their next move.
I said taking some water and some snacks to pass the time.
As you can see, many people filling up that shopping center still. It's pretty congested over here on Lantana Road near 95 northbound. And that shopping center is just still filling up with many, many people.
And certainly a lot of people, not just in the shopping center, but many people, Sabira, that were traveling on I-95. Tori Dunnan actually caught up with one woman who was right behind the shooter. You can't get any closer than that. Here's her reaction.
She says immediately you could tell that he was going to hit someone as her husband swerved out of the way to the emergency lane. She says she saw the driver with his arms tensed out like this on the steering wheel. Take a listen to how she described the scene on I-95.
Cars behind us were just going everywhere, and all you saw was pieces of automobile, smoke, flames, everything. That's all you saw. It was horrible. We didn't move, he would have killed us.
She said she was screaming, "We're gonna die," as her husband was trying to navigate through all of this chaos. She says she's absolutely heartbreaking about the tragedy for others. In Lake Worth, Tori Dunnan, WPTV News Channel 5.
Lots of people affected by today's tragedy, both on the roadway, spilling over to parking lots like the Publix. We just saw that. Sabira brought that to you. We'll have much more live coverage continuing in just a few minutes ahead on News Channel 5 at 6. Back to you, Shannon.
Jay, thank you. And we'll switch gears from a busy news day, and it's going to be a busy weather day as we talk about a cold front, too. Steve?
Yes, tracking it. It's up around the Panhandle now, Shannon, with heavy rainfall and right into next weekend, too.
Sounds beautiful. Steve, thank you. We'll take a quick break. We're back in a moment.